Hello and welcome to episode 4 of the Seminarians Youth Group podcast. On this episode, we have Father Toner, Patrick Swilly, and James Aiken. How are we?
Doing well yourself?
Yeah, I'm all good. So this one's maybe a slightly different perspective. The guys we've had on before, James, you've been on before as a youth group member. We've had guys from the chefs, we've had musicians, so if I get a more holy side to it,
let's say spiritual
side to it. Good. Start off, Jim, by telling us how many times you've been to Lourdes with the group, and then any other times you've been in general.
So that pilgrimage just there was my first time with the St Margaret of Scotland Youth Group. I was appointed their chaplain about this time last year, so I was delighted to travel out with you guys to Lourdes this year. The year before that, I travelled out with a parish group, and we joined on with the Archdiocese of Glasgow pilgrimage to Lourdes that summer. But this year was my sixth time in Lourdes on pilgrimage. The rest of them have all been a bit different, but first time, yeah, with the SMSYG. It's been a great year. They're all different. I can't be biased. So, no, they've all been very good.
And Patrick, this was your first time in Lourdes as well?
Yes, it was my first time in general in Lourdes. I've never been before, so I was learning everything on the go as I was exploring Lourdes. But I enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of newcomers this year.
There seemed to be I had just seen the youth group last year, sort of working with the pilgrims and stuff, and there were a lot of new faces this year.
Yeah,
I think that'll be the case next year as well, because I don't know about you, but since I've been back, I sort of spoke about to folk, so I think folk will be like me and want to see what the fuss is about.
As I mean, they always talk about it, they call it the Dublin, and it's like funny how I was thinking about it the other night, how the fact that it's so long away, and I've got so many other things lined up throughout the year, but yet the only thing I'm looking forward to the most is coming back to Lourdes.
Definitely. So, here before we know it.
Yeah.
This year will fly.
Yeah. So a wee bit of background, James and myself, we met Father Toner last year in Lourdes, not in Lourdes, in Lisbon for World Youth Day. And that was kind of that's how we get into Lourdes, wasn't it?
It's how I really got into, I've always been a Catholic, but getting into going to Mass as regular as I do now is really staying for Lisbon. Lisbon was a good experience for me, because it really got me to understand the Mass more and understand how important it was, and understand how big Catholic faith can be across the world. Because one of the things I remember most was about sleeping overnight in the field or the beach. It was in our case. That was somebody said to me, how when else would you be able to get over 1 million folk in the one place and no trouble happen? When else would that ever happen? And that's what really stuck with me, I think.
It's true. It's one of the great things about going to Lourdes is you see people from all over the world gathering there to celebrate faith, and the Archbishop kind of spoke a wee bit about that when we had the pre-pilgrimage Mass and before we went off to Lourdes, about, we all share that one faith of the apostles. It was the feast of St. Peter and Paul. He said that Mass in the Immaculate Conception, and he said, you see all these people and it unites them. That's what unites them, is their faith. And World Youth Day is like that times a million, because there were 2 million people sleeping out overnight for Mass with the Pope the next morning, and it's a really good boost, even for me as a priest, to see so many young people engaging with their faith. And Lourdes is the same, and in Lourdes you get another dimension to it, because you see them putting their faith into action then through service, which is really great to see.
I think that night in Lisbon was an experience and a half, wasn't it?
It was an experience
for different reasons. I mean, it was lovely to see so many people there, but also just in the most simple way, there was not like I say too many.
Yeah, it's impossible to steward 2 million people going to Mass, one Mass. And so it was really difficult for the organisers and stuff, but it was a bit of a nightmare trying to get in and get space for us all to camp.
I think the biggest nightmare for Patrick was trying to wake me up the morning after. He woke me up I think Mass was at 9. He woke me up about 10 to, and I was still in dreamland going. But I slept through the DJ priest and everything like
And I think everyone slipped
That
through
was
that.
good for you.
that.
Because, I mean, obviously, I always find that laugh when we went, Thornton and I, we took charge of that day. We thought we were going to set up and we'll make sure everyone's ready for you guys. But we must have set off at like 12.
Yeah.
I think we set off at 12 p.m.
And it was roasted.
and it was cooking. And
40 degrees.
Aye, 40
And we got there, try to claim your space. And then every volunteer that came over would do that, they're half an hour away, and they showed up at 5:30.
Aye, because I remember we took about 10 million wrong turns. Me and a few of the boys for the pilgrims were trying to keep the spirits high with a few hymns, but it wasn't really working towards
No.
the end of it.
No, it was difficult.
But at least you were like sitting in the camp and not walking around.
Aye, I know.
That's very true.
Oh, we still had to do a fair bit of walking.
We did from we got dropped off. Folks thought we got like dropped off right at the camp. It's not
No.
the case. We had to walk along the motorway, pulling that buggy full of hot dogs.
Hot
Which
dogs,
were
hot dogs and
terrible.
bagels.
Hot
I
dogs,
like
bagels, and they gave us cartons of milk. I mean, that was good enough.
that milk was out of date for about a
Well,
year.
that was
ago.
off as soon as you took it off the van.
But
The hot dogs are quite nice, but
Out of me and you, I think I had 2 tins worth. I think it was about.
I know you had 2 tins worth.
I could.
They're out of your tin, I know.
Was it you who made a hot dog and bagel? Like a
Aye.
sandwich?
Aye,
That's too far.
That's
That's too far.
You can't be too choosy when you're in the middle of the beach.
But yeah, I think living for us, that was the first thing. I think that's the first thing that I've done to that scale with my faith, and then that spurred on Lourdes, and because of it, like me and my mate Anthony, I think we speak about this all the time. We actually cooking too much. Like,
You never been coffee too
You'd
much.
as well as just becoming parishioners here.
make
The
it
best
real.
decision you ever make, by the way.
Find a house up here because they're up here that much. But it's the
Planning
friends.
is free, you know.
Your room. But it was through that we met guys like James and the rest of the guys from Kirky, who quite a few of them I think had been maybe more than once or twice.
Mm.
And it was them who said to us, look, it's a good laugh, and it's also good for your faith and stuff like that. We thought we'd give it a crack, and then for the first meeting we kind of hit the ground running. We thought this one could be good.
Definitely. And there's such a big contingent from here. I mean, I was in saying Mass in our high school, Seminarians, on Monday for the teachers, and one of the deputy heads from the school was in Lourdes on pilgrimage with the Archdiocese, and we were saying, okay, there was 80 with the youth group, but 24 of them are former pupils of Seminarians High School, and that's pretty amazing. It's a great thing. The school's so proud of that former pupils are putting their faith into action and going and wanting to serve others and to know more about their faith and to go and experience a place like Lourdes that Our Lady calls us to, so it's great. So I know it winds up some of the other folk for the youth group, but Kirky's where it's at.
I know. I was at Mass earlier on this afternoon for the feast of the Assumption, and I was speaking to the new head teacher of Seminarians, and he was basically saying he was so glad to see so many ex-pupils that are making that decision to go and help out pilgrims and Lourdes, and he says it's just sort of dead like fulfilling for him to see people that he used to teach, and now that he's in this job and he's wanting to kind of he's wanting to get a few hours in to talk to the pupils of the Lourdes, which would be a good thing to do, I think.
Because the parish that I go to, the Immaculate Conception with Father Jim, he likes to go on and on about the youth of the church and how it kind of. Because I think, obviously you'll know more about this, but I think it died off a bit, and it seems like it's coming back. The amount of youth that are coming back to Mass and church.
I hope so. Yeah, I mean, it depends on which parish you go to, which parish you look at. I mean, there are some parishes, even just demographically, there aren't a lot of young people stay in the area. There are a lot of families, and there's maybe an older demographic, so that has an impact on parishes. There is just a big trend of young people not really going to Mass so much, but we're really lucky in our parishes here because there are quite a lot of young people who are engaged, and not all of them are in the youth group, not all of them even come to the parish for a young adults group either, but there are young people who come to Mass, and it's great to see them, and it's just about trying to for us anyways, priests, we want to try and help them know more about their faith so that they can love their faith more and share it with others, because I think that's the thing about Lourdes for you guys as well. It's about the experience you get there. It's never just for us, but it's always about sharing it with others and then maybe bringing others to experience it as well. And that's kind of what we're called to do with faith in general. You know, if we have an experience of God in our lives, God doesn't want us just to hold on to that for ourselves. He wants us to share it with other people so that they can encounter Him and meet Him through you. You know, God uses all of us as we're His hands and His feet in the earth. St. Teresa of Avila famously put it. He wants us to do the work on earth, and it's great, yeah, that we're able to do that. And there is a bit of a trend, I think. You see, we get lots of young people getting in touch with us, thinking about becoming Catholics as well, who are not Catholics, even some folk involved in the SMSYG, which is fantastic that experiences like Lourdes and things have opened that up for them.
Yeah. Seems like Lourdes is the kind of place that can help further push your faith, because I think, you know, I would imagine that most people who went to Lourdes are probably now, as I've done before, probably at Mass every weekend, because like the trip itself has such a big impact. So much so when we speak about it, we say you want to be and connected to the trip as possible until the next one comes. And going to Mass is probably a big part of that.
Definitely. I think that's a big thing, is like these experiences like going to Lourdes on pilgrimage or World Youth Day for us last year in Lisbon, they're such fantastic experiences. But the thing is, you can't just base your entire faith on them. Or you can base it on them, but it's about how do you manage to keep your faith when it's a bit of you're in the doom post Lourdes, or when you're kind of struggling, you know, because the thing about faith is it needs to be there in good times, it needs to be there in bad times, you know, we need it. And life does have ups and downs, and there are moments that are brilliant, and there are loads of people around you, and it's easy, if you like, to be a Catholic in those situations when you're surrounded by all these young people who know all the hymns that you know and who know the prayers and you know the chat's all good and all the rest of it. But then you go to school or to uni or to college or work and you're not surrounded by those people. And then it's a bit more, you know, difficult to be proud of your faith and to live out your faith and even to speak about your faith. So it's about how do we make that connect between having these great pilgrimage experiences, but also letting it sort of sustain us and keep us going until the next time we're able to go. And I always think of it as kind of recharging your batteries. You know, you come back from Lourdes fully charged, and then, you know, maybe dips a wee bit, and then you need to go back the following year, or maybe it's a couple of years, you know, but actually coming to Mass every Sunday gives you a wee bit of extra charge, definitely. Because this is the great thing, it's the same Jesus that comes to us in the Mass, whether you're in Lourdes, Lisbon or Kirky, you know, and that's the thing we need to remember. Even Mary Hill.
I think now we kind of got to know everyone around the table, and we spoke about how important Lourdes is. We'll probably take a break and then we'll come back and we'll speak a bit more about the week itself.
Good.
Because when James and I done that, we spoke about it going as you could remember being able to have a different perspective on how the week went, just from the most basic thing, from where you stayed to what you done.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Good.
Right, so we're just back for a wee break there with a few cakes that were handed in by our parishioner.
Shout out to the parishioner who handed in the cakes.
Thank you.
The chocolate there, we're doing a treat. But yeah, we're just going to start talking to Father Tono now in particular about his role on the pilgrimage itself.
My sort of role on the pilgrimage is that I am chaplain to the St Margaret Scotland Youth Group. So I was appointed to that role by the Archbishop about this time last year, but it was kind of connected to World Youth Day in Lisbon. He had travelled out with the group and stayed with us for the 10 days that we were there. And after that, I think he thought I might be good at doing this job with the St Margaret Scotland Youth Group. I think it may have something to do with the fact that there was a video of me dancing the slosh. So dance the slosh and folk just think you're good with young people, you know. and pensioners. You know, but no, I think he thought it might be something I was interested in because he knew I'd been in Lourdes the year before. And I was delighted to take on the role because I knew at that point that Sean and Hayley were taking on the running of youth group, and Sean and I actually grew up together. We were altar boys together in St Paul's and Shettleston. So I've known Sean, and we're vaguely related as well. Although at one point we were looking around that room in Lourdes, and I think everybody in there for the East End was related. Not as much as all the folk from Kirky were related, though. So I took on that role, and it was great to be working with Sean and Hayley. I'd known them for quite a few years. And then my kind of role through the week really is just to be there as a sort of spiritual support, someone to talk to for particularly the SMSYG, but also as well as the groupies, the sort of the pilgrims that we bring as well, the families that we bring. So I just tried to make sure that I was available for them should they want a chat, or should they want confession, or should they want anything through the week. You know, but it's really just about, a lot of chaplaincy is not so much, you know, saying the masses and preaching the sermons and even night prayer that we did together every night, but it's kind of being there and spending time with them. And that's a big thing about youth ministry that's really important, is just spending time with the people that you are chaplain to, which was something I was very keen on making a priority this year in Lourdes. Every day, you know, we had a kind of spiritual programme, and the priests who accompany the pilgrimage with the Archdiocese, you know, they're sent out. There's a wee rota in terms of who's going to be the main celebrant at Mass and who's going to be preaching or giving the homily. I wasn't doing any of that so much. My main sort of input every day was night prayer with the youth group, and some people came along to that as well, some of the other pilgrims. What I kind of tried to do with that, so I'd been at one or two night prayers last year with the youth group, but wasn't leading them, and they were both very different. It was different priests leading them last year. What I kind of wanted to do was just to take a moment at the end of the day and to reflect on the day, things that went well, things that maybe didn't go so well, in the pilgrimage as a whole, but also with ourselves. You know, where were the times that we recognised God in the day and that we cooperated with Him? Where were the times that we maybe ignored them, or we didn't do the best that we could, or we weren't as kind or as loving or as generous? And so we would sort of have a wee moment of examining our consciences, and then a short reading, and then we would kind of I would try and reflect a bit on the day that we'd had, try and unpack that, because there's a lot of symbolism in those masses and in those liturgies. There's a lot of actions that happen, and sometimes they're not always explained. It's almost, you know, you maybe think that people know what's happening, and actually I get that people don't know what's happening. So I think it's important to try and communicate that, particularly with the youth group, to say, well, this is what we were actually doing today, and that's what it was all about, and let's just have a wee think about it and reflect on it. So, and then we would always end, you know, sing a few hymns as well. It's great. I really liked it. You know, 10 o'clock feels quite late when you've been doing loads of other work all day and walking about all day, and you guys have been on shifts and stuff like that, but it's a great time just to bring everybody from the youth group together. The only time we're all together really in the one space on any given day, and just to have that moment to pray together and make sure that everything we're doing in terms of serving others has that focus on God as well, and that we see God in all of that.
See, earlier on you touched a wee bit on, obviously you were there during the day to hear confession and everything, and essentially just being there for people. Is that, on a personal level for yourself, is that something you kind of thrive off of, and like you get satisfaction out of just being there for people over the course of the day?
Yeah, it's a big part of being a priest, is being there for people when they need you. So yeah, as a priest, I mean, my parishioners here will know I talk about confession quite a lot, because it's so important. I think as a sacrament, it's really underused, because it's really a place where we encounter God's love for us in a really incredible way. And there's, you know, what do we get in confession? We go, and if we say we're sorry, we get love and we get forgiveness and mercy, and the slate is wiped clean. And I don't know why people don't take more opportunity. Again, it's difficult. It's humbling as a priest that people have the courage to come and to confess their sins, and to receive God's forgiveness. in many ways, I never feel more like a priest than when I'm doing confession. It's a really moving experience, you know, in a really sacred moment where you're able to reconcile a person with God. And it's an incredible thing. But just being there, you know, some priests would talk about, you know, having that sort of ministry of presence, so just being available to chat to folk and stuff like that is really important. In many ways, that's the bigger part of chaplaincy work than any of the official liturgies and things. All of these masses and services and things that we do are really wonderful moments to gather together and to focus our prayer and our efforts on a particular thing, on God. Actually, a lot of chaplaincy work and ministry is about spending time with people. That's something I'm very, very passionate about.
Yeah. And Patrick, obviously, you're a seminarian at the moment. How big is kind of Lourdes a part of almost your journey to become a priest in a sense?
Well, I think that's actually quite important. I mean, the thing about Rome is that we are so far away from home that it's like very good for intellectual formation, but you don't really get in touch with people that much. You can't really like do the pastoral aspect of your work, the ministry of presence, as Father Toner said. So actually, like whenever I'm on placement in Scotland, as I'm now, or whenever I'm on pilgrimages like Lourdes, this is the time where I can charge my pastoral batteries because like I mean, you know, if someone wants to be a priest, they probably have this like urge to actually speak to people and minister to people, which in Rome you're sort of denied. I mean, you're denied it for a good reason of great intellectual like formation there. But I found it like really recharging to just chat to people all the time. By the end of the pilgrimage, I was really losing my voice because I was chatting to people all the time, just walking around.
It was all that singing late at night.
There was a lot of singing.
Singing hymns all day.
Singing hymns.
Nothing else.
So definitely, this was actually, I think, again, as Father Toner said, like the main part of my role in Lourdes actually wasn't like organizing or helping organize the liturgies, but actually just being with people, being with all pilgrims throughout the day, and then especially in the evenings, we come to the night prayer with the young people, and then chatting with them, also hearing about their stories, how Lourdes is affecting them. So that's really helpful, and also it's good to see my future vlog. So I found I found that also very good.
You gave a reflection at one of the night prayers as well. I had invited yourself and two of the other seminarians, which means student priest, by the way. Guys who are studying to be priests are called seminarians. It's a word that sometimes people don't know. But I invited you guys to come and speak at night prayer, which gave another wee element to it, I think, just hearing from different people's experiences, how you guys were experiencing the week, because we had reflections as well from some of the groupies, but to hear about your guys' vocation stories as well was good, and why you think God's calling you to be a priest, and what it's like to say yes to that. So that was great. So thanks for saying yes to that. It saved me speaking every night.
I think it also shows the fact that, that you said you could remember talking, you had seminarian, you had yourself talking, it kind of shows the fact that there was so many different perspectives, but yeah, it was all for the one thing.
Yeah.
Which is quite humbling. Like, there was night prayer also was, like you said, it was a great time for everyone to get together. So there was a night where we were on our way to night prayer, and one of the families, I think, came up and said, slightly jokingly, where are we off to tonight? And I said, well, first of all, we do night prayer at 10 p.m. And they're like, all right, we'll come along. So I think by the end of it, it shows you it went from being a holiday of sorts, which it never really was.
That's how they fool you into going. It's a holiday.
But I think it kind of drew people in, and people listened because of the fact that you said you spoke about the day. Every day in Lourdes was a big day. There wasn't a day where you thought,
this is quiet.
It's quiet. Everything would flow on, and it had a meaning or a purpose behind it.
You wouldn't change it for the world, but would you?
No, you wouldn't. No.
See, Patrick, just a quick question for you. See, did you ever get the feeling in Lourdes that Lourdes was like a mini placement for you, in the sense that you were going from a place like Rome just to straight away speaking to people and being like a kind of just someone to talk to, like the way a priest would be. Do you ever feel like that was the case for you?
Yeah, I mean, definitely it was a big part of the pastoral placement time that I have in Glasgow, and I mean, it's good to like be in different places. It's good that every summer the seminarians get sent to different parts of Glasgow as well, and then in Lourdes you actually get to explore the whole Glasgow, because you have people coming from all the parishes, so you get to hear all the news from different parishes and see how great the church in Glasgow is.
Yeah.
That was one of the things when I met with the sort of pilgrimage organising committee before we went to Lourdes, was the Archbishop had come along to one, and then there was also the pilgrimage director, Canon White, and I said to them, it might be a good idea to bring the seminarians with us, because give them the chance to meet lots of people from the Archdiocese, and also to spend a bit of time with the young people that we're taking to, which is good for them, and it's good for the young people, I think, as well, to meet guys who are doing something quite different, because what you're doing is not all that. I don't like using the word normal, but it's not that normal these days for guys to go off and be priests. So I think it's always good for young Catholics and young people to see that God does still call people to this life, and if He does, it's great. I mean, you're talking about Lourdes being a bit like a holiday. It's work for me, but it's great. I'd love it.
Holiday.
It's a working break, but it's fantastic, and I love it, and I definitely need a holiday after it. It is fantastic.
But I think it was also great to have different seminarians there. Like the other seminarian Jordan who came, I think it close time. We had a lot of fun. Even just going for food or going back to the Gallia to hang out for the night. But as much as we were talking with friends about anything and everything, it kind of gives you an insight into how hard it can be to be a seminarian. About how, like you said, how long you're away from families and how long you're away from almost the outer world. And
yeah, it's true.
But it does show like a lot. You've got to have some sort of determination to be able to.
It's like that.
Through this.
That hymn goes. I don't know if the music group sung it. It was, follow me, leave your home and family. And it's a part of ministry, and it's a part of being a priest, and trying your vocation and going to seminary is you are away from friends and family for a long time, which is tough. That is definitely tough. But like anything, there's nothing that's worth having in life that doesn't require sacrifice. It doesn't require giving something up that you love in a certain sense. And I think everybody knows that's ever done anything worthwhile. And so it's just part of it. But you find that if you're generous of yourself with God in those situations, then He's always more generous back to you. You always get back more than you give. When you say yes to God. And I think you guys as groupies would have probably experienced that in Lourdes as well. For all that you were there serving others, I think you probably get a lot out of it yourselves.
Yeah,
and a lot, God always rewards generosity.
See, I think I speak for all of the youth group when I say this. Like, we never went with the intention of getting more out of it for ourselves. We went for the intention of helping people that needed it, and it's mental the rewards you get back for offering that help. And it's something that took me by surprise. Definitely the amount of like the gratitude you get from like for your faith as a whole, for just from that pilgrimage alone, is, I think, it was kind of what encourages me to keep a kind of spiritual flame burning in my life. Like, especially when I got back, that encouraged me to go to mass more often and celebrate. And I see mass as a lot more a celebration now, just since coming back to Lourdes, and it's just showed me how good your faith can be is the bigger you make it in your life.
That's the thing about Lourdes is, why do we go to Lourdes? We go to Lourdes because Our Lady appeared to St Bernadette. The thing about Mary is, Mary never points at herself, she always points to Jesus. And so our experience in a place like Lourdes that Mary's brought us to should help us come closer to Jesus. And where do you meet Jesus? You meet Jesus in the Mass, because at Mass, Jesus becomes present in the form of bread and wine on the altar. Holy Communion is Jesus. And so Lourdes should lead us to Mass, ultimately. It's it's a natural link. It's a perfectly, reasonable link to follow, and it's great when it does, and sometimes it doesn't, for folk for various reasons, but it's sometimes the journey's a bit longer for some than it is for others, I think.
When you speak there about we need to mass, just a bit more general fun question. In Lourdes, there's so many different places to have mass.
Yeah.
Was there a favourite place that you had where you thought that?
The Rosary Basilica is really beautiful, so it's always nice to have mass there. The grotto as well is great because you can join with other groups as well, and hear a bit from them too, and it's great. But the thing about Lourdes is, some of the chapels are not the nicest to look at. There are some beautiful chapels and churches, and there are some which, architecturally maybe questionable.
Better hope they're not listening.
Better hope they're not listening.
The architects.
The architects. The thing about that is, as I said earlier, it doesn't matter where you go to mass, or because it's the same thing that's happening. Heaven and earth are touching on the altar, and Jesus comes to us. If you're in the most beautiful basilica in Lourdes, or if you're sort of in, any other wee room, sort of chapel that's maybe less aesthetically pleasing. But the beauty of mass is that it's Jesus that always comes to us.
And Patrick, what about you? Was there any place in Lourdes where you said mass that you thought that's one ticked off the bucket list? Or
well, I think I have to agree that it's not only the visual beauty, but actually it's the people who make the mass more beautiful. So I found the mass with the sacrament of the sick very moving and very emotional, even though the church itself was quite weird to operate from the perspective of the master of ceremonies and just trying to organize the priest and run around the church. But again, just because the mass was so good because of the people who were there, who were involved in that, and you could see miracles happen when people were receiving the sacrament. So I think really people make Glasgow, but also people make Lourdes.
That's very true. I remember saying that when I was preaching a homily last year in Lourdes when I was there with the parish group. Yeah, there are beautiful places to look at. The grotto is beautiful, and the church is beautiful, and the hills are beautiful. But the real beauty in Lourdes is in the people who come to Lourdes, and particularly in the sick and those who are there, looking for some particular grace or healing or blessing or miracle from God. The real beauty is in them and in the people who go to serve them and who go like the groupies of the SMSYG and the hospitality and the nurses and the doctors. They go and they are serving others, and that's where the real beauty of Lourdes is.
Yeah, I think you guys are
Sorry, I never had a favourite place to see mass.
you had your chance about 3 weeks ago in the first episode, but you never made the most of it. So, but I think Christian seminarians they make the trip for us as much as we make it for ourselves. I think the seminarians make it for us as well. But it's also great to hear the impact that it can have on you as a priest.
I think it's fulfilling as somebody that goes as a groupie to hear that it has, for somebody that's been yourself, Father, that was your 6th time. It's dead fulfilling for people like us to hear how much your impact still has on you, and I think that encourages us to go back year after year, because I can feel that's what's going to happen with me.
It is, you kind of catch the Lourdes bug, and you go, and I was telling all of you guys, it's what I was told the first time I was in Lourdes: make sure you get to the Crown Virgin statue and say your 3 Hail Marys, and you'll get back to Lourdes. It's the wee tradition, but it worked for me. I've been back 6 times now, and it's fantastic, and I can always see it being a part of my life, even if I'm not doing this, job as chaplain. I would. It's always a place I would go back to, because it is a place where you get a wee just taste of heaven on earth.
Yeah, but I think we'll definitely be going back next year.
Good. I will too as well.
Yeah. So just want to thank you again for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I cannot believe it's taken till episode 4 before you even asked the priest on.
I know, I've been on twice,
Father, I messaged you a month ago and you only got back to me the other night. Actually,
Excuses.
I'm joking, but it's lovely to have you.
Oh, it's great to
Patrick.
be on.
Patrick, it's lovely having you as well.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you
Thanks
very
very
much.
much. And cheers, Finn.
It's always okay when you come on, James. I'm sure I'll see you next week.
Probably.
No, yeah, thanks for coming on, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank
God
you very
bless.
much. God bless.